Hello, hello, hello. Checking. Can you hear me now? Checking, checking, checking. Can you hear me now? Hello, hello. Hello. Can you hear me now? Okay, okay, okay. It's great. I apologize for this chaos. I had checked yesterday, but I don't know how. Uh, First of all, uh, um, I apologize for this chaos. I had checked yesterday, but I don't know. Technology is technology, so that's what happens. Um, right now, before I move forward, let me start all over again, and I thank the Indic Book Club for this opportunity, and they have organized this live chat, and Sai Sarupa ji, thank you so much for introducing me to IBC, and Hari Kiran ji for accepting me, and Dimple Kaul ji for organizing this. It was her idea, and thank you so much. Right, and please keep your comments coming. I will try and answer whatever comments I can at the end of the session. Before I talk about the book, let me introduce myself, just a few words. I served in the army for about 20 years plus, and while in the army I served in different parts of the country, and I retired as a lieutenant colonel. So while in the army, the largest part of my tenure was in Kashmir, and in Kashmir I started with Akhnur, and then Baramulla, Naugam, Uri, and it gives me a lot of pride to say that I volunteered to serve in the Siachen Glacier as well. At the cost of humility, let me say that, because I'm very proud of my association with Forge. After having served in Forge, and it was very painful to hear these people in Jawaharlal Nehru University shouting "Bharat tere tukde honge" and "Bharat ki barbadi tak jang rahegi," and I'm sure the entire country felt bad about it, and I remember a lot of debates happening on TV and stuff like that. But I decided to do something more about it, and wrote a novel in which the entire thing plays out, and this incident becomes the turning point in the whole story. JNU as such has become a gad. Ek tarah se it's a stronghold of these left liberals and these communists. Now, when I talk of these left liberals, who exactly are these left liberals? These left liberals, they have spread out in the entire country. They are not communists themselves, but they're sympathetic to them. The all the the Naxalites and the communists, they draw their strength from these left liberals and the entire paraphernalia which is there in places like Jawaharlal Nehru University. Okay, so these people, they basically, their agenda is to make you feel bad about yourself, about your country, about your faith, about your belief, about your history, about your culture, about everything. They can even go to the extent of making you apologetic about this. Mamata Banerjee, just recently, just 3-4 days back, she has made a statement that she is ashamed of being born in this country. How can anyone, I mean, what can be the reason for anyone to say such a thing? Nobody should be ever able to say that he's ashamed of being born in this country, whatever be the reason. Now, like I said, there is this, the novel is based on the incident of 9th Feb, wherein they shouted these slogans. He gets involved in this, the main protagonist of the novel gets involved in this, inadvertently, galti se, by mistake, but by the time he realizes his mistake, it's too late. An FIR has been was launched against him, and he has no option but to run away from that place. And he, along with his friends, runs away to Bastar. There he has no option but to become a Naxalite. Now the irony is that he becomes a Naxalite without becoming a communist. That is the irony. But once he is there, he understands their ideology. He learns how wrong this ideology is through various incidents which take place. The first lesson that he learns is which he doesn't like, is when he sees a lot of bloodshed, innocent blood being spilled. But then he is told that every revolution needs blood. हर क्रांति को खून की जरूरत होती है. That's what he is told. This is the basic ideology of the Naxalites or the Maoists. They will shed blood of innocent, of not so innocent, if it suits their ideology and it helps their cause. There is a history to it. There is a complete history to it. As you all know, Marxist or the communist theory, it comes from a book written by Karl Marx, Das Kapital, back in the 1860s, late 1860s. At that point of time, the Industrial Revolution had been on for about 100 odd years, and Karl Marx felt that the workers were being exploited by the capitalists, which was right. Workers were being exploited. So he wrote a theory in which he said that if men, material and capital, all three were utilized in a proper manner, controlled by an authority, then there could be more equitable distribution of wealth amongst people. Theory on paper is very nice, but unfortunately it did not succeed in any of the industrial nations. It succeeded in agricultural nations. It first succeeded in Russia in 1917, wherein Lenin led the revolution, and Russia at that point of USSR at that point of time was primarily agrarian, and later it succeeded in China in 1949 as well. At that time, China was absolutely agrarian. So what I'm trying to say is that जिनके लिए ये theory लिखी गई थी, it did not succeed there, but it succeeded where there was absolute poverty. So when Marx wrote this, he did not, he just wrote the theory. He did not give a methodology as to how you go about implementing this theory. So these people did the only thing that they could, which was armed insurrection, armed revolution, and that is why they say that every revolution needs blood. So Lenin came to power in 1917, and a few years, just 5-6 years after that, Stalin came to power. And it was Stalin who started modernizing, if you want to say that, the USSR. And to do that, he divided the country into various zones. One was agricultural, the other was industrial, and there were labor camps, and targets were given to these people. Of course, these targets were never met, and since the targets were never met, the people were punished for it, and many were killed because of these strenuous conditions. It is said that Stalin killed, during the reign of Stalin, about 2 to 3 crore people. Not 100, 200, 300, 400, 1,000 lakh, 10 lakh, no. It is said that 2 to 3 crore people died at the hands of Stalin. Similarly, when Mao came to power in 1949, it is said that 4 to 6 crore people died at the hands of Mao. Now, it was like a competitive communism that Stalin showed the way, and it was followed by Mao, and thereafter by Pol Pot also, and North Korea and elsewhere as well. So there is this book called Black Book of Communism, which is written by many authors, contribution of many people, edited by a person called Stephen Courtois, wherein he talks of a figure of 10 crore people having been killed by at the hands of these communists. But what does the history tell us? History tells us that, or what they teach us is that Hitler was the biggest villain. Of course, Hitler was a villain. He killed nearly 2 crore people, but he was not the biggest. The biggest villain was communism, and within communism it was Mao who was the biggest killer. And therefore, when these people say, or they call themselves Maowadi, you can understand कि वो क्या सोच रहे हैं, that they want to emulate Mao, who was the most ruthless person, and they will do the same to us. This is what they do. This is what they did in Dantewada. This is what they did recently in Sukhma, where they killed many CRPF people in cold blood. So this is what these people say. Every revolution needs blood. But why don't they, our country, why don't they tell us that they teach all this? Why do they have to hide all these things about these communists? Why do they want to portray commies as good people? Well, this is part of their plan. First, they will tell you that Mao and Stalin, they are big revolutionaries, and then they will make you feel bad about yourself, about your culture. So what happens is that when you feel bad about everything over here and feel good about somebody else, then your voting pattern is affected. That is the basic bottom line. You vote for people who are either commies or sympathetic to the communists. If you want to know whom am I talking about, you can see the alliance partners of communist parties after the independence, and they are the ones who will who try to make you feel bad about yourself. BJP, on the other hand, it talks of a pride in the nation and our own capability. So there is this absolute contradiction between the commies and the BJP. So that is what I wanted to bring out. As far as this these historical mistakes in our history lessons is concerned, I just want to add a word about a website called Tarkic, Tarkic. It is operated by a friend of ours in the Indic book club, Mr. Shashi Kiran, and it basically is a site wherein you can go and point out the historical the mistakes in the history lessons of our country, and ideally it should be done by the HRD ministry, but once all this has been compiled, and I hope we will be able to present it to the HRD ministry, and they will be able to make amends in the curriculum of our children. The second lesson which this boy learns is that religion is just an opium for the masses. Karl Marx said this, that religion is just an opium, it's bad, which means that God is the biggest invention of mankind. That's what they believe in. God did not create man, man created God. Now, if religion is an opium for the masses and if religion is bad, then if you want to say it in a secular manner, you can say that all religions are equally bad. That would be a new definition of secularism. All religions are equally bad. But this is not the case. They modify this statement depending upon the country they are operating in. Like in the West, they would say that Christianity is bad. In India, they would say Hinduism is bad. In Muslim countries, they won't try this, because if you tell the Muslims that their religion is bad or that religion is just an opium for the masses, they will chop you to pieces, and that is why there is hardly any communism in Muslim countries as of today. It was at some point of time there was some, but as you can understand, it didn't happen. It didn't work. Now, the third lesson which this boy learns is that it is absolutely fine to rob some people to help the others. Something like Robin Hood, but unfortunately it doesn't. The society, the economy doesn't work that way. Now, in India, if you see, legally you cannot rob people and help the others. So it was devised that you tax the people at very high rates, which is another way of robbing. So during Indira Gandhi's time, we even had interest rates, income tax rates rising up to, going up to 80 to 90%. So you can imagine, if 80 to 90% is the income tax rate, then what kind of development was happening? And but even with those high interest rates, did we get rid of poverty? Of course not. Of course not. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You cannot grow by taxing people 90%. And then by that time we were only growing at about 2.5% and then they called it the Hindu rate of growth. Some ridiculous economist came up with this expression, whereas it was actually a communist or the Congress's rate of growth, but they called it the Hindu rate of growth. Now, you may say that what about the other countries, Russia and China? Now, let's talk about Russia. Now, Russia was communist for good about 70 odd years. In 1991, the USSR actually, it imploded and it broke up into parts. So, did USSR develop? Did it reach the pinnacles of development? No, it did not. What excuse me, what they did was that they concentrated all the state's resources to develop two spheres, two aspects, and one was defense and space. They did very well in both these spheres, but did they embrace the market economy? Did their overall market develop? Did their country develop as such to be able to compete with the West? No, it did not. Now, and that is, had communism been so good, Russia would not have, USSR would not have broken up into pieces. Now, let's come to China. Now, China from 1949, after Mao came to power, till 1979, 30 years, China did not develop. China started developing only after Deng Xiaoping took over, and he started market economy. He embraced the market economy. So there was this contradiction. Politically, they were on the left, whereas economically, they tried to move towards the right. There is this contradiction. But China did not develop because of communism. In 1979, it was only the market economy which helped China to reach where it is reaching today. And there are problems. I'll come to that a little later. As of today, you can see the status of countries like North Korea or Venezuela or Cuba. Venezuela was one of the richest countries in that region, but the status is absolutely pathetic. It is one of the poorest countries today in that area. So until and unless you embrace a market economy, it is very difficult to progress. But I don't mean an absolute freedom to businesses to do whatever they want. There should be regulators, as in any country. There should be auditors. There should be income tax returns should be checked and everything. There should be regulators to keep these people in check, in the sense that people are not exploited. So that is a given. But you cannot stop the progress of humanity by being a communist. Because when I say progress of humanity, you see everything that, every innovation that has come, it has come out of the market economies, the West. Now, let us take the case of India itself. In India, these communists have been in power in two big states, West Bengal and Kerala, and a small state called Tripura. Now, in West Bengal, the basic reasons were poverty, extreme poverty, and lack of growth. In Tripura, it was the same: poverty, lack of growth. In Kerala too, it was the same: high education levels, but lack of growth. Now, if we talk about Kerala, the high education levels were not because of communists. Kerala has a tradition of concentrating on the education of children. A large number of Keralites follow a matrilineal society, wherein the women are the heads of the family. And when the women are the heads of the families, they will concentrate more on the education of the children, which is a fantastic thing. So that's why they progressed, but there was no growth, there were no jobs, and therefore they embraced communism. And you can see when the communists have been in power off and on in the last 50 odd years. Now come to West Bengal. West Bengal, the communists were in power for more than 3 decades. Did they have they been able to eradicate poverty? The answer is no, absolute no. If they could not do it in 3 decades, I don't know what good is communism. You might also like to ask, why is there no communism in states like Haryana or Punjab or Gujarat or Maharashtra? That's because these states, people were progressive. Right. So if the communists cannot provide development, I don't know why किस हक से ये लोग they go about asking for votes. What we have to understand is that poverty will not go away by just giving out subsidies. Now I know very well that a very large population of our country is poor, so we have to help them. There is no doubt about that. In terms of some food, education, healthcare, and if we take care of these, we help them with these things and then provide them an atmosphere wherein they can develop. So if you do that, you will see that they will be able to stand on their own feet. That is the way forward. You cannot just keep giving people money and food and everything sitting at home. They have to work. Well, there has been a lot of debate on intolerance and these left liberals have been saying that the dissent is weakening. We are not allowed to dissent. Well, they should be told that India is a democracy and dissent is allowed. In China, dissenters are just shot dead. They're just killed. और ये these left liberals, they have to understand that कि जिंदगी में कुछ लकीरें होती हैं. There are limits which should not be crossed. When they make these statements like भारत तेरे टुकड़े होंगे या भारत की बर्बादी, they cross this line. You can have a problem with a particular political party. You can say BJP Murdabad, that is within your democratic right. You can even say anything against the Prime Minister within the limits of decency, of course, that you don't like him. That is absolutely within your democratic right. But you cannot say Bharat Tere Tukde Ho. That is where you have crossed the line. And you must understand that there are millions and millions of people in this country and Faujis like me, for whom this country and ये जो इस देश की जो मिट्टी है, ये एक जुनून है. और जब ये ऐसी बातें सुनाई देती हैं, तो सुनने में आती हैं, तो फिर ये जो जुनून है, ये सर चढ़ के बोलता है. Now the book itself may just be words, but which I have written, लेकिन ये निकले वहीं से हैं, इसी मिट्टी से ये शब्द निकले हैं. and it is a response to these people. Now, why have I named the book Oh My Gods? There is a reason behind this. It is not just an expression. It is there is a story behind this, and I will not let the cat out of the bag. So you might have to check the book and find out yourself why this title has been chosen. Currently, I'm working on the Hindi translation of this book, which should come out in the next few weeks or so. But as of now, the English version is available at Amazon for now, Amazon and Kindle for now. Later on, it will also come on other places like Flipkart, etc. That will also happen. So what happens to this protagonist after he gets involved in this, and does he get out, and how do these lessons, how does he understand that the lessons which have been taught to him are absolutely wrong? So all this is there in the book, and if you read the book, you will understand why I have given this title and what is the storyline, and I'm sure you will enjoy it. I'll also love to read your comments on Amazon after you read the book, whatever, good, bad, ugly. It would be a pleasure. So that's what I had to talk about. That's what I wanted to say. And it's been nice chatting with you. Dimple ji, Sridharan, Archana ji, Chirag, I can say Sridharan ji. I can read your best wishes over here. So thank you so much. Thank you very much. Look forward to interacting more with you people, and Jai Hind. Thank you.